All right. Well, if you're listening to this after the fact, everyone, you just missed the best parts. But here we are. So we just finished listening to Syd's audio Mayne Island, which is from 1975. And Mika, do you want to just kind of repeat that again? You want to say that again?
I said that I wanted to listen to it many more times. There was so much richness that I'd hear something and I would sort of start to think about it and start to like, oh, what does he mean? Like, I wanted to really dig in and think about each nugget, but then there were more nuggets and I'd be like, oh no, I'm missing some. I got to listen.
Yeah, which I find, I mean, I do the same thing, Mika. I think anyone who says they don't do that is lying. But it's so interesting that so much of what he's talking about in this is, you just got to hear one word, which is sort of the opposite of trying to get it, right? It's like you just need that one little bit. Yeah, so interesting. And Mika, just so that you don't think I'm lying, this is one page of notes.
Oh!
And this is the other bit of notes. So I was doing the same thing, writing down little tidbits, as they came to me. And of course, realizing that as I'm writing one down, I'm missing the next one. So hence listening to it many more times is probably prudent. What else did we hear?
Well, I know I stepped in late, but it was kind of a neat thing too. I heard.
Sorry.
No worries.
The beginning, like he was still learning, hugely learning.
Yeah.
I mean, he continued to learn his whole life, but you could hear the innocence of what he just discovered coming out, like that. And Mika, to address what you just said, that happens to all of us. But it's also a practice in being present, because if you're taking notes like Michael, well, I'm not hearing what's going on. I'm not present in the room. And he kept saying, just be here. Don't take notes. Just show up. So if we were listening in the moment with him, that same thing would have been going on, but he wouldn't have stopped what he was saying. He'd just keep going.
Absolutely right, Tony. Yeah, as I said, guilty as charged, right? One of the reasons I was keeping notes, so I was trying to find a theme in this, right? And the theme that I seem to have found is, one was simplicity, but mainly we just forget who we are. We forget where we came from. That seemed to come through in this a lot. That there's nothing new to say, that we're already it was kind of the theme. If I look through my notes, I see a lot of you are that simplicity. There's nothing new to see. Only beliefs can be forgotten. There's a very common thread, which is simple. You're already it. Right? But that would make for a very short talk, wouldn't it? Okay. Hi, everyone. You're already it. See you later. Let me know when that makes sense to you. Anyway, I digress a little. Auden, Laura, what did you, thanks, Tony. What did you catch? Either one of you.
Yeah, I agree totally with it. Was a lot of ongoing gold coming out all the time, and this about simplicity, or one thing that stuck out, and I loved it, was we are the imperfections.
Right.
This being in this space, I don't know, and then you have everything. You are in it. You are who you are, and every time we step outside of that, and it's so easy to step into the ego, and then I start to judge, then I start to compare, then I start with all my thinking going on, and whatever I read, whatever wisdom books or words, I am not in it anymore, and I will not see it. So that was one part. And yeah, about you already mentioned it, but all you have to do here, a word of truth, because it's you. uh, yeah, I think he said something. I'm also taking notes or mind mapping it. I just went out all the ways. So, but stepping away from every word that was said, but just being in the calmness, in the caring, sharing going on, and just being it. It was a good feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a line, I don't know if I got it exactly. Everyone knows the secret of life because everyone comes from there. How much more basic can it possibly get than that? We all know it because we're all it. The other one was the guardian. This was new. The guardian of the secret is thought. Our thought. It is how we play the game. And I think that was around, he said that around where he was talking about us as the imperfections. And I'm curious, Auden, or anyone else, what do you think he meant when he said we are the imperfections? Because that struck me as well.
For me, it's I connected with having the human experience. So in that, to evolve, to expand consciousness, and on the other side, I have my ego, which are not there at all, who want to have some identity, something to defend, something to protect. And from that, all the fear is coming, the fear that hides the secrets of the universe, as he said.
Yeah.
But so in this, we are the imperfection, lowering your arms and just being, and I don't know. And then you actually know when you need to know. So yeah, some thoughts about that. But it was really good, and appreciate so much that you make it available. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure to do. I mean, it's yeah, no worries, Laura. I've gotten a little bit of heat for doing this, and I'm okay with that. Oh yeah, sorry. Well, hold on. I just found that imperfection is a human creation is what I have as that note around there. Like what I heard there was that because Syd, the paradox is Syd talks about everything being perfect. And if everything is perfect, that includes us. It has to include us. But we seem to have this ability with our personal mind and our personal thinking to create create the illusion of imperfection. This is fascinating. I mean, you can it's rich, right? It's so rich. We've lost Laura. Any other thoughts? What the other thing that I'll just say one more thing that popped out for me, and I've already articulated this, but this whole idea of humility, but more so what I'm thinking of is full responsibility. He talks about taking complete responsibility, and he talks about it in the context of the past. But there's something about, at least in my personal experience, when I sort of had my moment, or my holy shit, something's different now moment, what was clear was, oh my God, I've been making it up. And the thing that stood out, that has been with me since that moment, was I'm responsible. It is absolutely and completely my responsibility of how the world is created. I'm doing that. There was something incredibly powerful, empowering in it being my responsibility. And that and maybe I'm missing something, I don't know, but I think that is an amazing superpower that humans have. The fact that we are empowered, we are that tiny aspect of God that gets to make up our experience. To me, that is the most incredibly powerful thing. And to see that it is my responsibility, how my relationship is in the world, how the world looks to me, how everything looks to me is my responsibility, that to me is just amazing. That's so powerful. So I don't know, that was a bit of almost a bit of a rant there. But what else came up for anyone? What else did you hear? Mika, what about you again? All right, Tony, go for it, man.
The first thing that came to mind was how Dominic starts every talk is you forgot who you are in a story. And he clarifies what that means.
Right.
Right. To try to get your attention, because why? You're the one who's forgetting at the moment. That's who's showing up right now.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can go somewhere. And that was Syd in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Every time he spoke, he was speaking to the one who's not here. Right. But eventually the one who was there disappeared, and your true self, your bigger self, right,
Yeah.
got to show up, you know. And the whole thing about imperfection, Michael, is for me, it was being okay with the fact that I signed up to come here and play the learning game.
Right.
And my bigger self, you know, is just having a ball, you know, trying to participate, but I forget that all the time. And, you know, it's like not beating myself up because I'm playing the game.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the continual learning, because we constantly forget, then we come back and just be okay with it. It's a wave, you know. It's not like watching the glass water out there. There's waves out there. That's the fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned that, and I really deeply appreciate Sid's articulation of it as a game. You're just playing a game, and that to me is just so liberating. It's so freeing to know that, yeah, we're just playing a game here. You know, what was the other thing? Hold on a second. Yeah, go find yourself. They say the name of the game is to go and find yourself. We forget where we came from. Like, what a neat thing to rediscover, right? Like in those moments that everyone has where we go, and we sort of transcend the shit that's in our brains or whatever is around us. For that split second, it's like, oh, I know this feeling. I know what this is about. And then we forget, and then we remember, and we forget, and we remember. It's fascinating. I like what he said about learning to love yourself. Learn to love yourself, get to know yourself. You are what you're looking for. There's something so deeply true about learning to love yourself. You know, imperfections and all, waves and all, you know, remembering and forgetting and all. Laura, what about you? What did you hear? What do you think?
I could echo everything you guys said because I was thinking I need to hear this again. Part of it, though I couldn't understand or hear some of it.
Yeah, it isn't
So
all
maybe maybe I have the wrong earbuds in. I'm not sure. I kept turning it up, turning it down a little. So part of it, like, what was he saying? What was he saying? But for the most part, oh my gosh, everything you guys said is exactly what I was thinking. So I don't know what more I could add to it. And also regarding the notes, I was thinking I'm going to take notes. I was reaching for it, but then I'm going to miss something. So maybe the next time I listen to this, or so yeah, nothing much more to add, except I want to ask you. I remember at one point you typed out some of his talks. Did you
Yeah.
type this one out?
I don't have this one. I'm still working on that. Yeah, I have to. Well, the truth is, I have to spend some money to get a subscription to somewhere that I've been delaying, where a lot of this stuff has already been translated or transposed. So I don't have this one. What I'm hoping to do for the next one is actually pick the talk, get the translation done, send that out. Because I know that in the past, I've had my transposition in front of me while I'm listening. And I know Dominic does that as well. It's really nice to be able to read along if you want to be even more distracted. But I love how he ended off, which with the change yourself and the world changes with you. That to me is just magical, right? This whole idea that we suffer because we've been trying to change things externally. He sort of articulated the cause of war and pollution and different things, and this emphasis that you can't change the world, you can't force change, you can only look inward And as that change occurs, everything around you changes. I think that is just an incredibly powerful message. Something that I try to take to heart whenever I can remember to do so. Anyway, yeah.
Michael, do you remember what he said right before that? I feel like that piece started with something about telling people about it or talk about it.
Yeah, well, yeah. What does anyone else, Auden, do you have that? Do you remember that? It was something about coming into your own, and being useful to the world because of seeing what there is to see about you. So knowing your true self, once you know your true self, then you can go out and be helpful. And I don't know if that's accurate or not, Mika, but what I hear in that has always been lead by example. Right? Be an example of what you have embodied. So if you've seen a truth, if you heard that one word, let that be your method of demonstration, let's say. I don't know if that is reasonable, Miko, or not. You know.
I mean, I think that is it. But also I heard something in that resonated for me.
Well, we can listen to it again. You have a copy of this, Mika?
No, I don't. I was one of my getting interruptions was like, oh my God, I got to see if this is in my collection. It totally isn't.
All right. Well, send me a message and I'll get it to you.
Thank you.
I
actually have one more thing I want to,
please.
I
Yeah.
noticed, and again, this might just be my interpretation, but I was hearing such a sense of wonderment in his voice. There's always a beautiful calm and beautiful presence, but his later recordings, he doesn't sound so amazed, overwhelmed with wonder. Like right now, it's so resonant that not just that he saw something beautiful, but like the residual surprise almost of this huge shift. Did you guys hear that? Did that make sense?
100%. And Tony, you alluded, no, you didn't allude to it. You said it earlier.
Yeah.
And I've always been drawn to his earlier recordings for that simple reason. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Right? And I don't mean it like that. But yeah. Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
It's super fresh in the moment, and he's amazed of the freshness of how it just keeps being fresh. It's like he's just bubbling over, and that's the space he was speaking from, not speaking about, but speaking from in the moment.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, that it was like a glow that you could feel. Mika, and it sounds just what I hear from you trying to describe, and that you can't really put words on it.
Yeah, there's something, wonderment is a great word there, Mika. There's something about the way, the place, whatever, however we articulate that, it's so fresh for him still. You can tell that it's so fresh. And not that the later recordings are not good. I mean, they are, but there is in my mind, there is a difference. I've always described them as being much more raw. Maybe because he's articulated it so much less than by the time the 90s are rolling around, or the late 90s or early 2000s. Like, this is still brand new for him. This is like a couple of years, the 75. So this is like, say 18 months after his experience. He's still making sense of it. And the language that he uses, it always strikes me that he's still using sort of the language of God and religion, because that's what he's got in his vocabulary.
Right.
Which I love. I appreciate his, I'm going to say it this way, I appreciate his struggle to articulate. Mm-hmm. I just think that is so cool. Anyway, I could just go on and on.
That's the innocence that I spoke of.
Yes.
Like, he has no clue that this is just happening. You can feel that.
That's innocence is a great word, Tony. Sorry, Mika, go ahead.
Having no clue is great. That's what he was talking about, because there's no beliefs attached. There's no beliefs even in the capacity of, oh, this word will make more sense to somebody than this other word. There isn't any of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's really leaving it up to you to hear or not hear, right? Like there's one audio, I forget which one it is now, but he talks about how no one in the room can articulate what I'm about to articulate, including me. And I love that level of truthfulness, right? It's he's basically saying, I mean, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know what I'm talking about. And I love the paradox of that, right? That's great. Any other thoughts? Don't be shy. Laura, you're smiling. Come on.
It's hard for me to articulate everything. And but there is so much. I love what you guys brought out. I mean, you're doing a great job, so keep going.
Well, what I'm actually gonna do is wind us down. It seems like every Saturday, every time I run one of these, every time we have one of these, I'm either going to visit my mother, and today I'm going to visit my daughter. So, so in the last, I'm going to take us till the top of the hour. So in the last 2 minutes, any other thoughts?
Wouldn't downplay his later stuff, but imagine for how many decades he was playing this game, and he just found so many things that didn't work. You know, it would work for this group of people and didn't work for that group of people. It's like he was the human part of him was trying to throw in there, and then he would get in his own way, just like we all do, you know, like that. And that you might hear it, a lot of people will speak about he stepped away from the spirituality, the formlessness that you hear him coming from, and he was speaking more to the form later, you know. So the innocence that's coming out is like, hey, let's see what happens, you know. That's the beauty of this early stuff. Yeah, the early writings, the early book stuff, all that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Tony. And it's not to denigrate the older stuff at all. It's just different.
Yeah.
There's an audio where he's talking about levels of consciousness, and he likens it to schizophrenia and how we're all being schizophrenic. And in the audio, you can actually hear him speaking from the personal mind and then speaking from beyond the personal mind. And he catches himself doing it and saying, you know, like I'm doing right now, if you can catch me being schizophrenic, you can catch others or yourself being schizophrenic. So it's really interesting that in this one audio, he actually acknowledges that. He's like, yeah, you can hear, and you can hear the difference.
Right.
It's like he's speaking from his personal mind, and he's not, and then he's so yeah, it's fascinating. Which one was that? I'll have to see if I can find that one too. There's so many. Why don't we close with this? There is no end to the realization of truth. Sound fair? I've got that noted as well. All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm off to visit my daughter. I'll post this later on. If you don't have a copy of this one, shoot me a message and I'll get you a copy of it. Good. Thank you all. We'll be back. Thanks, Tony, for popping in. I'm glad you did. Thanks for your input. And so the next one is third week in September. It might be the 16th. I'm not sure. There is a date there, but it'll get posted again. So love you. Thank you so much for coming out and sharing this. Have an awesome rest of your Saturday.
You too. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you,
Bye,
Mike.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All right.